Well, things are getting worse and worse for Diddy in this trial. And I initially, I admit, was like, oh, he's just a degen, a regular Glenn Greenwald, okay? But it's far worse than that. And as this trial has dragged on, I feel like the state, which is, of course, the Southern District of New York, which always gets their man. You can look at other trials that happen to be held there, has started to make a pretty brutal case against him. Yes, all the headlines have started to fade because all the spicy bedroom stuff, that's all by the wayside. The interesting thing is none of that. He was not on trial really for any of that. You could make the case that Cassie, his girlfriend, was there against her will. That's the case the state made. I actually think they did a very poor job of that. She seemed to be a willing participant to me. I will continue to say that there's many things going on in this case, but I remain convinced that Diddy was a state asset or federal asset and was removed, was burned. You ever see burn notice? Kind of like that. This morning, though, the courtroom has erupted, I believe, for the second time in 2 days. A woman was ejected from the courtroom after disrupting proceedings before jury was seated. As proceedings began, Judge Aaron Don't Really Care discussed with the prosecution and defense teams a compilation video exhibit expected to be introduced later Tuesday. There was a question about an expert's testimony, and the defense questioned certain edits of the video, claiming they distorted the actual event. The prosecution noted the timestamps on the security videos are routinely inaccurate. That's actually true. As they discussed in the video played in the defense yesterday, featuring, quote, Maya, a former Diddy employee testifying under a pseudonym of her birthday, the prosecution say that they intended to introduce a recording of Diddy's phone calls from jail, in which he organized social media celebrations of his own birthday. Who cares? That's not against the law. This woman stood up and started screaming and swearing, saying it's not an effing game, calling out to Diddy with, they're coming after you. The judge ordered her removed and quickly escorted her from the courtroom. Now, here's that individual. Just that one person that people say, if there's a woman like that on the jury, they'll never convict him. That's what the jury selection process is about. It's about weeding those types of individuals out. I would argue that outside of having one juror that expertly lied and fooled everybody and made it onto the jury, that's the only way. Because remember, this is a RICO case. So to get that escalation, they only need to prove Diddy was guilty of 2 out of the 8 charges. Several of them are undeniable. The drugs, undeniable. The arson, pretty undeniable. The prostitution, pretty undeniable. Now, that's already 3. All right. Even if he manages to escape all other, the 5 other charges, that's all they need. That's why they bring up a million charges. And I know that the audience for these videos probably aren't the same that watched the Trump trial, but essentially that's what happened to Trump. They put in a million charges, and they were like, all you have to do is find him guilty of one of these, and he will and we'll get our man, which is exactly what they did. Local bystanders have gathered outside the courthouse during the course of the trial. TMZ obtained a video of one person outside the courthouse this morning.
Who the is the cloud chaser? Oh, okay, clock that. Clock that. Let's go viral in this. Let's go viral.
This is crazy.
Or what?
Snap out in the courtroom.
Yeah.
Outside the courtroom.
Everybody back up before you get smacked.
Yeah.
Wow.
Back up.
I'm gonna get smacked.
This is probably some TikToker that's trying to.
Okay. This is the witching hour.
So some unhinged. She's paid clout chaser she's paid clout chaser by Puffy's family. Probably. On top of that, things, obviously some of the latest updates. The LA hotel security officer, now this again, witness tampering. This is one of the 8 charges. They seem to appear to have him completely dead to rights on. This is bad. The defense. So Garcia, let's go back to the beginning, because this is about covering up the evidence of the tape. Combs presented a hotel security with $100,000 in cash in a brown paper bag, Garcia said. After hotel security signed NDAs, Garcia told the court that Combs left and returned the room with a brown paper bag and a money counter. Combs put the stacks of money into the counter, $10,000 at a time, until it reached a total of $100,000. According to Garcia, the original deal for the video with Garcia's boss was $50K, but Combs said the excess cash was for the other 2 security guards. He also signed, Combs had Ventura on call to reassure hotel security was for sale. Garcia testified that he expressed concerns about selling the only copy of the 2016 video, especially if Ventura had already filed a police report in the matter. He told the court that he ended up on a FaceTime call with Combs and Ventura. Combs told Ventura to tell Garcia that she wanted the video to go away, Garcia said in court. According to Garcia, Ventura then said it wasn't a good time for the video to come out and she wanted it gone. So they sold the tape. Now, is this witness tampering, or is this just some corrupt security guards selling the information? It's possible. But this is obviously going towards the racketeering, the witness tampering. This guy who is a security guard, by the way, was making $10.50 an hour. He also agreed to an NDA that included a $1 million penalty if he breached it. Garcia received $100,000 for himself and 2 other employees for helping Combs keep the Music Moguls Hotel incident under wraps. He also warned the guard not to make big purchases. Garcia told the court that Combs asked him if he wanted to count the money he was getting for the video sale and asked how he intended to spend it. Garcia opted to trust the money counter. He testified he explained to Combs that he did not know what he'd use the money on. Combs then warned him not to make any big purchases, Garcia said. The hotel security said he assured Combs he was advising against drawing attention to the money. Garcia added that he didn't deposit any of the cash into the bank and he used the money to buy a used car. So here we have Garcia bribing people. Now, these aren't law enforcement officials, so I'm not sure who's really wronged here. Probably the hotel. I would imagine the hotel, had, paid these individuals to provide security, not to sell security footage, not to enrich themselves off the footage. Will the hotel pursue them now? That's up to debate. But if both parties in the video were on that call and wanted the video to go away, did he break the law? I guess he was covering up a crime. I'm not a lawyer, so obviously that's still going to look bad. And remember, he's being charged with bribery, which he very obviously did. And the details of this of this man's testimony, Garcia, pretty much confirmed that. Now, the defense has come back to point out that the NDA did not prevent Garcia from speaking with law enforcement. Defense attorney Brian Steele briefly cross-examined Garcia, pointing out that a line in the NDA that Garcia was not prevented from speaking about the attack with police. This was presumably intended to undermine the government's potential obstruction of justice, one of the predicate crimes that falls under racketeering. Prosecutors quickly took up redirect, however, showing that the NDA requires written notice to the company in those cases. It says that this would allow the company to seek options to prevent disclosure. Garcia testified on redirect that he understood that the company to be Combs, not good. Not good. On top of that, 50 Cent has come out. 50 Cent has warned Trump about Diddy after President is asked if he'd consider a pardon. Rapper 50 Cent reacts to Trump's comments about possibly pardoning Diddy. I mean, boy, I sure hope he doesn't.
Page 6 question, but back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours.
He's not.
He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years.
He also said that Trump, electing Trump president would ignite a race war. All you need to do is show that to Trump, and that's going to go out the window. 50 Cent, of course, weighed in to say, yeah, don't do that. Then they drag in Madonna, Judd Apatow, Chadwick Boseman in a weeks-long battle over his, various charges. These are all people that were present but not taking part. Also, apparently, Jamie Foxx weighed in, and Diddy blasted as nasty by Jamie Foxx. Now, a lot of people believe that Diddy poisoned Jamie Foxx. There was a conspiracy about that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't know if he's going to jail, but he's a nasty MFer. Am I right? Especially for our community. White people, it's cool, but for black people, it's like, that was our hero. All that gosh darn baby oil. Fox had it. For black people in here, you know how that hurts, because Diddy was all about the Benjamins. That was our whole culture. Now it's all about the baby oil. So he's saying, the black community lost a hero. I don't know if they viewed Diddy as a hero or not. I'm not black. I know that might surprise you. But yeah, he's cooked. He's absolutely cooked. This quietly over behind the scenes, it seems like the prosecution has done a very, very good job at proving their case. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Make sure you leave a like on this video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.